Have you heard that life is like a box of chocolates? Have you heard that exercise is like a stick of gum? In this episode of Exploring Exercise, I am looking at the Superset. I'm going to go over what they are, how they work, what exactly that has to do with chewing gum, and at the end of it all, you will be able to decide for yourself why you would or wouldn't include the Superset as part of your training. So a few quick things to get out of the way at the beginning, just to make sure we're all on the same page, are going over some definitions. So repetitions, or reps as they're often shortened to, that's the number of times you do an exercise before taking a break. So if you had 10 reps of something, you would do that exercise 10 times before pausing. And the number of sets you do is the amount of times you repeat those repetitions. So if you were given 3 sets of 10, you would do that exercise 10 times, and then you would have a break, you would rest, recover, do the exercise another 10 times, rest, recover, and then finish up doing the exercise another 10 times. So you've done that exercise 30 times in total, and you've had 2 rest periods in between. Now, a superset, it basically takes those rest periods and replaces them with extra exercise, and it would look something like this. So if I were doing the deadlift, which for those of you who don't know what that is, I'm basically lifting something very heavy up off the ground, standing up straight, putting it down, lifting it up again. So I do the deadlifts, as many as I can, and then I would go and do another exercise while I'm taking a break from the deadlift. So I might go and do some jump squats, which is a bodyweight explosive exercise. I might go and do some lunges with a lighter weight, so that's a single leg exercise. Or maybe I'll mix it up and do a different muscle group. I might go and do some push-ups or a different type of exercise. I might go and do some cardio, so use some of the machines or just go for some sprints. And then once I've done that other exercise, I go back to the deadlifts, do those, then back to the other exercise, and then finish up on the deadlifts. So I've basically taken my rest periods and added extra exercise into my workout. And some of you are probably chuckling, oh great, extra exercise. That is exactly what I'm looking for in the gym. Thank you very much, as if it wasn't hard enough already. Some of you might be making mental notes as supersets, things to avoid in the future. But some of you just scratching your head and thinking, well, why? Whoever invented that, what were they thinking? What was possibly going through their mind? And some of you might just be asking, but are they a good exercise? Should I be doing them? So now let's have a look at how they work and a little bit of the science behind exercising. The first thing I ask myself before doing any further thinking about anything exercise related is I ask myself this question: what do I want to get from this training? And the reason I do that is there are so many different exercises out there and so many different ways to combine them that will ultimately get me very different results. So I find it very important that at the beginning I'm clear on exactly what I want to get out of it, and that helps me make better choices about which exercises will best get me there. So I want to ask you, what do you want to get out of your training? Are you training to get better, whether that's fitter, faster, stronger, or do you want to get better at your sport? And I want to get better, and I'm enlisting you as my coach to help me do that. Congratulations. Now, I'm coming to you because I want to get better at my sport, so I need to be faster and I need to be stronger. And as a highly intelligent professional coach that you are, what would you recommend I do to get better? I'm sure you figured it out, but 10 points to anyone who said practice. Rob, you will need to practice and you will need to train, and that is how you will get faster and that is how you will get stronger. Is that all there is to it though? Does the quality of the training, does that matter? Here's what I mean by that. Last year I had a neighbor who took up the bagpipes, and at the beginning of the year they could play 2 or 3 songs, and there was one song that they practiced a lot. In fact, they practiced this song over and over and over again. It got to the point where I found it very, very annoying because it felt like every second afternoon between 2 and 3 p.m. I would hear this one song maybe 4 or 5 times just on repeat. And now I have no idea why they were practicing just that one song, whether it's a sentimental value to them, whether there's some strange event coming up where all you do is literally play that one song, or were they just doing it to annoy me and the rest of the neighbors? I will never know, but how much better were they getting as a bagpipe player by just practicing the same song over and over and over again? Because at the end of the year, they could only play the songs that they could play at the beginning of the year, and yes, they could play that one song very well, but once they'd mastered that song, once they'd memorized that song, were they getting any further benefit from their training? So when it comes to practice and training, is it important that the quality and the intensity of that training is very high? And is it important that it's a little bit difficult, that it's hard, that it challenges us and pushes us to go beyond what we can currently do? Is that an important factor when it comes to getting better at something? So now let's think about exercise. Who's stronger? Someone who can lift 100 kilograms or someone who can lift 80 kilograms? And if you want to get stronger, should you be lifting a heavier weight or a lighter weight? And think about speed now. Who's faster? Someone who can run 100 meters in 20 seconds or 15 seconds. And if you want to be faster, should you look at running quicker or slower? Now let's look at a superset and how exactly they work. And to do that, we are swapping roles back. I am the coach and I'm going to take you through a hypothetical series of exercises. And I want you to think about how you would be feeling if you were doing these, and more importantly, how your body would be performing as we go through these exercises. So to start with, you are going to run 100 meters as fast as you can. I mean sprint as fast as you can. And then once you've done that sprint, down that other end, there's some dumbbells. I'm going to get you to pick those up. No time for breathing. You're going to pick those dumbbells up and you're going to give me 15 of your best squats. And then as soon as you're done with that, put the dumbbells down and then run back as fast as you can back down to this end. And then I'm going to get you to do 50 star jumps. So as you're doing those 50 star jumps, I want you to think, that return lap when you were coming back, do you think you were slower or faster than your first lap? And what if I hadn't told you that there was a second lap? What if I got you to just run one lap? And I was like, one lap, put in everything you've got. Would you have gone faster than if you knew you had to come back the second time? And once you've finished those star jumps, what I need you to do is go back and do that all again. So you're going to run again, no time for a break. It's as soon as you finish that 50th star jump, it's off. You're running again 100 meters as fast as you can. Push, push, push all the way to the end. You get to the end, pick up those dumbbells, give me another 15 squats of your best, no half reps here, and then you're going to put those down, and then you're going to sprint back as fast as you can again. Push, 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 run like you mean it. And once you get to this end, I'm going to get you to finish off with those 50 star jumps. And as you're doing those 50 star jumps, just think about how you would be feeling. Would your legs be burning? Would they be jelly? Was it hard to run back those last few laps? Were those squats more difficult? Your star jumps, are you still jumping as high? Are you clapping your hands above your head, or are you sort of barely getting any elevation off the ground? And then that second set, how do you think you performed compared to your first? Were you getting slower or were you getting faster as the exercise went on? Are any of you still wondering exactly what this has to do with chewing gum, or maybe you've all fallen asleep? So that's what I'm going to cover now. Have you ever had Hubba Bubba? If you haven't, I'll explain the experience for you quickly. When you first open the gum and you put that in your mouth, it is this intense burst of flavor. Very, very powerful stuff. But it doesn't last for long. And before long, the flavor has faded. And it's okay, but it's not as good anymore. And if you keep chewing, that flavor actually just continues to fade and fade and fade. And then before long, this aftertaste starts to build up in your mouth. It's sometimes a little bit chalky, not altogether pleasant. And if you keep chewing beyond that point, the gum actually starts to fall apart in your mouth. But now you're probably just thinking, well, again, what does that have to do with my exercise? Well, we're going to talk about the body's energy systems now. And the first thing, our cells, which make up everything in our body, to get energy to do work, so anything from running, jumping, lifting something up, and just being alive, basically, requires energy. And every cell in your body gets energy by smashing ATP molecules. And that's adenosine triphosphate, and the cells smash it apart, which releases energy. And then we have three energy systems, and their role is to put those ATP molecules back together again. And there's the phosphate energy system, the lactate energy system, and the aerobic energy system. And we're just going to focus on the phosphate and the lactate energy system today. So the phosphate energy system is like the first few bites of the Hubba Bubba chewing gum. It is for very, very high intensity, pretty much your maximum generation of force, maximum energy, maximum power, but it's only for a very, very short time. It can't maintain that level of intensity for long. And then it's called the phosphate energy system, and that's because the body then uses creatine phosphate, which is stored in your muscles, to put those ATP molecules back together again, so that you can then push back to that high level intensity. But it takes time for those molecules to be rebuilt. So if you keep exercising beyond that point, you then start moving into the lactate energy system, which is more of a middle ground. So if the phosphate was very, very high intensity for a very, very short duration, the lactate energy system is for a medium intensity over a medium duration. And it's like that middle point in the Hubba Bubba chewing gum where the flavor has gone. It's not quite as intense as it was. The flavor's still there, but it's just not as intense. But you stay there for a lot longer than the original few mouthfuls and that burst of flavor. And then if you keep exercising in that lactate energy system for too long, that aftertaste starts to build up. And that is the accumulation of lactic acid in your muscles. Now, the byproduct of the lactate energy system replenishing ATP is the buildup of lactic acid. And if you get too high a concentration of that in your muscles, you maybe start to feel a burning sensation. It might be tired, fatigued, heavy, slow, sluggish, and your body doesn't respond as well as it used to. It's really difficult to do things. And that is because your muscles are just flooded with lactic acid. And how you overcome that is by taking the piece of gum out and stop chewing on it. Is you need to give your body a chance to recover. And what it does while in those rest intervals, while it's recovering, is it's filtering out that lactic acid so you can perform back at that medium intensity. And then if you give it long enough, it will have rebuilt all the ATP through the phosphate energy system so you can get back to your maximum intensity. So that is how exercising is like a stick of gum. The longer you go, the lower the intensity gets. And if you go for too long without taking a proper break, the experience can get a little bit miserable. So when it comes to supersets, now to bring everything all together is, well, why do you do the superset? Now, when I first started at the gym, one of my trainers, they gave me supersets to do, and I didn't know any better, so I just went along with it. And at the end of it, I hated it. It was difficult. I felt like I wanted to vomit. I'm surprised I'd made it through alive, honestly. And so I asked my trainer, I was like, well, why am I doing this? And they told me that the reason I was doing it was I needed to keep my heart rate up in between the exercises, and that was why we were doing some cardio in between them, and that doing all that extra exercise would burn all these extra calories, so I could lose all this extra weight. And if we just go back to the Hubba Bubba quickly, and I have my strength training here and my cardio training here, could I just do my strength training, go through and I take a piece out, and then as soon as it gets bad, I'm finished with that, I go and get another piece, I go through and do that, and then it gets bad, I'm finished with that, I put it aside. And then once I finish this packet, I start this packet. Fresh packet, fresh flavor, good experience, and this is now my cardio training where again I'm focusing on getting the best out of it, that very high intensity, that very high quality. Or I could, I guess, just keep getting half-chewed pieces of gum that the flavor's all but gone, there's this horrible aftertaste and everything's altogether miserable. So why would you do that? And I guess just to close, unless there's a specific reason that you are training to get that specific result, which is being able to perform while fatigued and while under the presence of a large lactic acid accumulation in your muscles, supersets are probably not going to get you those results. If you're wanting to get better, if you're wanting to get stronger, faster, fitter, the best way to do that is focus on really, really high quality training and pushing yourself to the limits and then repeatedly doing that, because eventually those limits will incrementally move forwards. So thank you very much for watching Exploring Exercise. I hope you learned something about the superset. I hope you have taken things away from this that will really empower you to make great decisions when it comes to your training and getting the most out of it. And if you would like to suggest a topic or a question that I cover in my next Exploring Exercise video, you can leave a comment down below, or you can message me on Instagram or Facebook, or you can even send me an email if you would prefer, and I would love to address the topic, because this series is all about empowering you to make to get the most out of your training.